Hello everybody and welcome to Let's Get Creative. I'm Heidi and today what we're going to be doing is making life-size sculptures of our arms and hands. We're just going to be making one, but I'll show you a really fun and easy way to do that. And then you could just let your imagination go. You can make, all the different parts of your body, like legs and more arms, maybe your head and your neck. You can make a full-size sculpture of yourself. But I'm going to just show you one way to do that with your arm. So this is what we're going to kind of end up with. You could even wave at people now with a third arm and hand. What would you do if you had an extra arm and hand? Well, after this, you kind of will. All right, let's look at the arm and the bones in the arm and how the arm moves because of those bones. So what you're going to need for this is a file folder. You can open it up, and that's about the size you're going to need to trace both your forearm and your upper arm, including your hand. If you have two of these, that might be ideal, so you have a little bit more space to draw on each. But you can make one file folder work, or also another idea is a cardboard cereal box. Something that's thin that you can cut into easily with scissors. Another item that you need is a marker and a pair of scissors, one paper clip, and some tape. All right, ready to get started? Your arm bones consist of the humerus, it's that upper arm bone, and your forearm bones are the radius and the ulna. And then, can you find your elbow? It's to the right there. And in between those bones, the upper arm and the forearm bones, is cartilage. And that's your joint there. That's how your arm, those bones can move, right? You have a joint and flexibility, so you can move your arm around. So this is a great book called Bones by Steve Jenkins. It's all about bones and humans and other animals. So, this is a really great image of a human arm. You see that? This is an arm of a mole, an arm of a spider monkey, an arm of a gray whale, a turtle, and a fruit bat. So, you may or may not know that animals use their forelimbs to dig, swing, walk, swim, even fly. The forelimbs, or arms, of most bony animals are built from the same pieces. One large upper arm bone, two smaller forearm bones, and a bunch of little wrist bones, and a set of finger bones. Animals may vary greatly in size, and they may use their arms to do very different things, but their forelimbs all share the same basic set of bones. Let's look at the human arm again. See that? 1, 2, 3, and then the hand bones. Now your first step is to take a long piece of cardboard or a file folder, because we're going to be drawing the first section of our arm, and we're also going to include our hand. Okay, So you're going to need a piece of paper that you can put your hand on up to this point, the first joint where your elbow is. You're going to need something long enough to trace your hand and your forearm. Okay? So what you're going to do is place your hand and your forearm firmly on your piece of cardboard or file folder. You're going to trace. Take your time going around your fingers. You go all the way to your forearm, just where your elbow begins, and on the other side as well. So you should have something that looks like that. Then, next, you're going to put this aside and get another piece of cardboard or file folder. And you're going to trace this part where your elbow begins all the way up to your shoulder. That's a little bit more challenging. If you have a hard time with this, you can have a friend help you, a parent, sibling, and that's what you should get. See, I had a little bit of challenge with mine. All right, and what I'm going to do is just draw kind of like what we'd imagine the shoulder. The shoulder is rounded, right? And if you wanted to, you could even close this area off. So what you should have now is a drawing of your hand and your forearm. And I actually drew a line here to close that. So when we get to our next step, it's going to be a lot easier to work with because we're cutting these shapes out. So your first piece is your hand and forearm. And then your second piece is your upper arm and shoulder. All right, you ready? Next step requires a pair of scissors. So we're going to cut along the lines that we drew. All right, you got one piece here. And cut out your forearm and hand. So after you've done cutting, you should have a hand and a forearm and a shoulder and upper arm. Everybody got that? Great. So the next step is you're going to need your scissors and a paper clip. Next, you're going to need to take your two pieces here and we're going to be putting them together at the joint. The elbow meets the forearm and upper arm. So you see that? So how we're going to do that is we're going to take our pair of scissors and cut a little hole here and here. I'll show you an easy way to do that. I'm going to make a little marker here. And then we want to make sure that these line up. You can put a little circle here. Okay, next, you're going to take your pair of scissors. And you see that little hole? It's helpful when you're cutting a hole in paper that you don't want to cut through. You can fold it where you want the hole and then just make a little slit. And then to make it a little bit bigger, because we want this to move and not be too tight, cut right there. See? And now you have a hole. And let's do that for the other part of our arm. So again, folding it where the dot you made with the marker is. And then cutting a little slit there. And then cutting a little slit there. See that? So for this next part, you're going to need your hand and forearm piece, and then your upper arm shoulder piece. And you're going to need one paper clip. So what you're going to do is, see that little hole you made with the paper clip? You're going to slip it in like that. And then you're going to connect your upper arm and your forearm together by using the simple paper clip. So you're going to insert it and pull it through. So it looks like that. Ooh, they're connected. So next, so they're not fully connected. It doesn't look quite like how our arm looks. But what we're going to do is tape one side of the paper clip to one part of your arm. Not both. If you taped them both, they would no longer move. So I'm going to decide, I decided to tape the paper clip over here. You test it before you tape it down, right? So pretend your finger is the tape keeping the paper clip placed. Does your arm still move? If it doesn't, you're going to have to rethink or kind of re-engineer where you put the paper clip. So I'm going to tape it here. It moves. Looks good to me. Look, you have a joint. So next, you have, look at your arm with your hand. So this is a great opportunity you can decorate it. You can make another one. You could practice the same method with maybe your feet and legs, thinking about the different joints. You could even get even more complicated with the fingers, and you could make those into joints. Think about every part as a joint and try and join them together. But I wanted us to start simple so you get the idea and you think about the actual bones and joints in your arm, right? All right, so what I think I'm gonna do is decorate this with my favorite, lines. But you could do whatever you want. If you want to paint this, you can. If you want to color it in with colored pencils, you can. Crayons, your choice. I'm just going to add some fun decoration here. I might just color it later, but I like the simple lines. Or you can even get more detailed and realistic and think about, the details of your joints here, your knuckles, right? And you can draw those in, like something like that. Actually, my hand is like this, right? Right? So with the pinky, you've got 1, 2, 3 joints. 1, 2, 3. You can just draw them as fun lines too. You can steady your hand and think about all the joints. And what about your thumb? 1, 2, 1, 2, excuse me. 1 here, 1 here. And then you can think about your wrist joint. And how your hand connects to your arm. How your hand, if you rotate your wrist, how your hand connects to the rest of your arm. Pretty cool. Our body is really cool when you think about it. It's great to think about it and to study it. And a great way to do that is through art and sculpture, drawing, painting, and any other way you can think of. I'm kind of thinking of this as my skin, right? What about when we looked at bones earlier on? What did those look like in the hands? So maybe the hands and the arm. So maybe if you want to challenge yourself, you can go back and look at the image I shared of your arm and hand bones. And you could pretend this is the skin, and what's underneath the skin? Bones, right? So you could flip this over and draw all the bones that you see in the image I shared. Or you can also just do that by feeling your arm. You may miss a bone because we also have muscle, but you could feel the bones in your hands and your wrist up to your elbow, your joint, and then up to your shoulder. So here's an example. Kind of goes like this, like this. that. There's this thinner one. Goes along the pinky. Like that. And end up connecting right before the elbow. And then you have basically the upper arm bone. Just one bone. So did everybody make one of these? A life-size arm? Does it move? Look at that. So much fun. And it moves just as much as my arm would move in the joint, right? That. So, do you know a good way of building muscle? Is using your arms, using your hands. You know how you can do that? By doing art. You build muscles in your hands and your arms. Maybe in your legs if you're standing and moving around a lot making art. But art is a form of exercise, both physically and mentally. So keep that in mind when you think about your day and what kind of activities you'd like to do. Art is good for your health. Okay, so until next time, can't wait to see you again. Wednesday, we'll be doing repetitive line drawings as meditation. Thinking about how art can put us in a really positive, feel-good mood when we're having a bad day or we just needed something else to do. All right, can't wait to see you soon. Until then, happy making, everybody. Bye. Bye.
Thank you for watching our virtual Purple Museums broadcast. If you're enjoying this content, please consider making a donation to support our efforts. Our broadcasts are every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Stay in the loop by joining our email list by visiting www.cdm.org. Sign up today.